Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 151. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm really grateful to have you on the Trading Fanatic channel. As you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. As day traders, I tend to focus only on the current week, not to forecast way too much in details regarding what is gonna happen in the month. And pretty much it's most important to know what is gonna happen today. And this week I found myself really changing my bias every single day. We have a lot of fundamentals playing right now, a lot of variables, right? All of a sudden, the Fed was really bullish, hiking the rates aggressively. Stock market fell, a lot of fear, and right now they are backing up on that while the ECB is starting to push the rates right now. So we're having that shift of sentiment right now, and we can see that we're having a lot of risk on perspective right now, even in terms of stocks. So I found myself kind of confusing. I didn't trade like on Monday and Tuesday, really trying to figure out what's going to happen. Then started to trade on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I'm going to show you the trades I took this week. But overall kind of tricky, but of course, as expected from the previous week, I do believe the overall analysis on the weekly played out. So we're going to explore this one on this video and try to forecast what could happen. All right. If you're new in this channel, it is all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I give my best to share an educational piece of content or a trading setup breakdown video. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell in order not to miss the videos that are upcoming on this channel. And if you already did, let's not waste time but jump into the analysis. Alright, as always starting with a Dixie, but before we do that, make sure to check out the amazing broker Forex.com. It is great, it has all the assets you want to trade, it has great spreads as well, it has a no commission account, but pick their eco account. You're gonna pay a little commission, but every lot that you trade will go towards planting 10 trees, which I think it's an amazing initiative, and they're following up on their process on their website, so make sure to check them out. I'm leaving a link down in the description. Check them out, open an eco account, and let's trade. All right. So to the DXY, well, as projected last week, we started every pair with a question, which is, where can the weekly candle go? Right? Where can the next weekly candle go? And we potentially expected downside, right? And what we saw is that the market actually opened and straight started pumping to the downside, right? We're having a beautiful bearish candle. There is no wick to the upside, so we did not even start the week with a pullback and then flush, right? So it was a straight flush to the downside, right? So of course, right now we can start determining once again the weekly range. So I see this is the last higher low, kind of we have kind of 1, 2, 3 candles of slowdown, then a massive pump into the highs, which we can determine this is our weekly higher low. And then of course we can drop a little range and we can see that we're just about to tag the 50%. All right, so the biggest question right now is this a pullback right now or is it a reversal? Because as I said in the intro, right now the Fed are starting to back up a little bit. They're starting to become a little bit dovish, in other words, bearish. They backed up their rate hike. I think they wanted to increase it by another 50 basis points. And right now they say 25, right? So that's not good. And we can immediately see the other banks right now, for example, the ECB, the Bank of England as well, are sounding a little bit more bullish, trying to battle with inflation a little bit better. And we can immediately see the DXY starting to fall and also the stock market starting increasing, which is very interesting. But of course, what really matters right now, so I'm not going to go on the left. Of course, we are reaching 105, which is a pretty major number. And we have been there like in 2002, right? We came very close right here during 2016, a little bit right there during 2020, but right now we created a really major high. Again, and usually after a major high is created, a lot of liquidity is being taken, and usually this follows with a pullback. So we're having this pullback right now. And also on the daily, so the daily actually shifted the structure right there, which happened on the 23rd of May, which was pretty much Monday, right? So I did have like some sort of a higher low level right here, and I do expected the market to pop up a little bit, probably to give us a short, but nope, the market just opened, bearish engulfing candle, breaking below the structure. And then pretty much you can see it was rather tricky, right? We can see Tuesday was a nice continuation to the downside. Wednesday, kind of a pullback, bullish candle with a wick on top. Thursday, kind of an inside bar, right? Not much movement. And then Friday actually started to continue a little bit to the downside, but it's rather weak. Okay, so on the daily, we have some levels right there below the 50%. So there is one, and of course the other one is the weekly. So I would expect a pullback towards 101, at least, not to say 100 and 100.5, right? This will be a nice pullback for the dollar before we can start looking in terms of technical analysis for potential longs, right? Right now the market is bearish. We can even drop this daily supply. But what my biggest tip for now will be, and what I actually realized too late this week, is that the market just follows the session momentum, right? So if you're to extract something from this video, of course, the market tends to change its rhythm, right? Sometimes it respects, like pulls back nicely, creates beautiful structure, right? But sometimes it just opens and just goes, right? Depending on the sentiment. And this week I found myself just setting alerts, no alerts is being tagged, the market just goes without me, or I'm gonna kind of frame a bullish bias in the morning, the market's gonna reverse lower, then I think it's going down, then it actually goes up, right? It's constantly shifting based again on all those variables that we're having right now. So my biggest tip for now is just follow the flow, right? Follow the trend. Of course, you can drop like demand levels like this on the left, but usually those tend to be just reaction points, right? Because if we drop, for example, this guy right there, we reacted, broke. If we drop this guy right there, we reacted, broke, right? So we're going to drop this one. We're possibly going to come in, react, and drop again, right? So keep following the current momentum. And this is why the 4-hourly time frame is my favorite one, because it's not like a higher one like the weekly and the daily, but it gives me really an insight of what is happening right now. So if we zoom in, what are we doing? Well, we are perfectly bearish, right? The next task is to identify the lower high. Pretty much, yeah, you can take this as a lower high right there because we have this pullback, push, right? What actually broke the structure? What is the highest point? Well, yeah, you can say even this one. Again, it depends. You can just drop the range like this, which makes this your 50%. These kind of structural levels right there are just minor structure in between this whole leg, right? So what we did already is we pulled back already, just pinked almost 50%, and we are already on the way down. So again, a big question for Monday is, what are we gonna do? Are we straight gonna flush to the downside, tapping towards this demand level, or are we first gonna pull back a little bit to give us a short and then to potentially drop, right? Well, I don't know. And this is why I always say, well, don't go too all in on your analysis on Saturday and Sunday, because Monday can open with a gap and it can open right there, right? Or it can open with a gap down there, right? So then what you do? Well, you have to adapt, okay? So currently, again, as I said, we had a pullback. The market tried to push, it failed. Tried to pull back again, it failed. So I would say that this one could be a potential liquidity point. So a nice outcome will be a pullback towards this zone and then a flush. And if we start with a flush, then I'm going to be looking for a pullback, lower high, and then another flush, right? Keeping it as simple as that, there is my analysis. This is even the hourly time frame. If I just drop to the 4-hourly time frame, the market has already pulled back, so we should be on our way towards creating a new lower low. So again, if you get any pullbacks towards the upside, even preferably taking out this high, tapping deeper into those zones, then I would say shorts are possible because we're short bias. And again, if I ask the important question, how can the next weekly candle look like? Well, I would say it could be bearish, right? Maybe not as strong as these ones, but I do think bearish. And maybe we're just gonna open up, push a little bit lower, and then we can reject. Maybe close as an indecision candle like this, or at least a rejection candle like that. So again, we never know what's gonna happen. Of course, we can drop in some scenarios, but for the next week, I will continue being bearish for the dollar, also judging by the fundamentals. And just quickly to show you this graph right there, this is the fear and greed index. We went from 11, I remember there was actually 11, which is pretty extreme down there, and we can see that we have recovered from like previous close, which is 13 to 20 in just a day, right? So definitely right now, as I told you, a lot of optimism is coming into the market, which means bearish dollar, risk on perspective, like bullish other currencies. So let's see what's happening with the other ones. All right, let's have a look at EU. So on the weekly time frame, we are having a lovely bullish candle, right? Very nice. Again, similar to the DXY, we did not have any pullback, which means that you should have immediately adapted to taking longs, which I kind of failed to do, to take out longs on Monday and Tuesday. There were a couple of entries, but really tricky to get in, right? So I just stayed on the sidelines. And of course, right now, the biggest question is this a pullback in this overall downtrend, right? Or is it a reversal? Well, again, this is too far away in time. We cannot really think that much long term. If I just go on the left, well, we can see that this low wasn't actually taken. I would have loved to actually have this 2016 low being taken and then to reverse, which pretty much formed right now eco lows, which we know tend to act very well as liquidity areas, right? Where the market can just plummet to the downside. So right now we're almost about to pink 50% on the weekly range, right? Because according to me, this is the weekly pullback. Then after this, we have all bearish candles creating like lower lows, right? So according to me, this is the biggest higher time frame range that I'm going to be looking at. Then dropping onto the daily, we can have even this kind of a daily range. This is the last pullback push. We have this pullback push again. So technically right now the daily, we can even say, if we consider this to be the daily lower high, well, technically right now we are bullish on the daily. So what we have to wait for right now is for the 4-hourly, the daily, and yeah, the weekly is bearish, so we have to wait for the daily and for the 4-hourly to also align bearish, so we can start looking for those shorts if they actually come in, which I'm kind of not sure about. And it really depends on yeah, I'm not sure June or July when the ECB is actually going to take action on their rates, right? This is really going to be the key. And I think we're going to be seeing a big shakeout when they have actually the rate increase or decrease or hold. So yeah, daily time frame, again, you can see on Monday, just massive bullish, Tuesday continuation, Wednesday pullback, Thursday inside bar, and Friday kind of yeah, it was still bullish, but first we spiked into the highs, then there was actually a very nice short, and then we retrieved all the way back up to close as a kind of a spinning top candle. So yeah, going on to the 4-hourly time frame. So again, this is where the market opened right there. So you can see 23rd, there was a potential entry right here on the lower time frame, just impulse, then the market pulls back during Asia, 7 o'clock, even before London opened, massive pump into the highs. Then what got me a little bit tricked to look into shorts on that day is this kind of shift of structure. So according to me, this was the last higher low formation. The market broke it. So I thought, okay, could be the high of the week. We could be reversing right now. So I took a short somewhere right there, which was a stop loss, but with low risk. Yeah, I'm going to show you the trades I took. Then we continued into the highs. We broke structure again, right? Technically, we were bullish, but also this happened during Asia. So I thought we can take a short trade as a retracement, which actually ended up playing out very nicely. And right now, if you ask me, this is pretty much the higher low formation for me, this indecision candle that created this push into the highs. We already pulled back, so right now we're printing this bullish candle. So again, the question is, are we going to continue trading higher, right? Similarly to the DXY, or are we going to pull back towards the lows, right? Well, I would love to see a pullback towards the lows first. Again, as I said on Dixie, right? So we had this beautiful push into the lows. The market pulled back, right? Then tried to push lower, failed, and right now we're stuck in the middle, right? So again, you can say you have two kind of key levels. This is the first one, this is the second one. This low failed to make anything, so I would love to see this tap inside the lows, then a new shift, and then potentially to take the longs, right? But then if this pushes into the highs like this, breaks this structure, potentially even that one, right? Then I'm going to be looking for a pullback and a long setup. So again, I'm overall long on the euro right now as we're traveling towards this 50% on the left, as we're traveling towards some stronger supply areas that are potentially going to cause the market to reverse, right? So pretty much this is my simple outlook for the euro. I am a long bias right now. We are a little bit extended right now, but in terms of the weekly, we're really not, right? We're just pulling back right now. Yes, the 4-hourly looks a bit extended. We have been trending up, like we have push. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 drives into the highs, which is usually like quite a lot. But we had this liquidity gap right there that fueled the move into the highs. We can see the momentum is kind of starting to slow down. Like look at the candles right there, like 2 candles, very slow pullback, 2 candles, slow pullback, massive pullback, massive. The bearish candles got a little bit bigger right there. And right now what we can see is that the bullish candles are kind of trying a little bit weaker, right? So this could be a sign that we might be potentially kind of getting in a little bit of a high zone right there. So we can start looking for the shorts, but I'm only going to be taking shorts if we really get some clean 4-hourly reversal, right? So let's wait for that. Okay, so that's my outlook, and make sure to stay tuned for Tuesday where we're going to break it down again and see how Monday played out. So I'm quickly going to walk you through my trades as well. So this is the trade on Wednesday, I believe. So I was long bias on that day, just simply taking this bullish range right there. We had kind of a very trending Asian session, which is not really great because it was really trending, but I thought it's already manipulating into some of these areas. So if we drop to the 15-minute time frame, this is where the Asian session stopped, right? It pulled back, and pretty much the mistake of this trade is that supply was still in control. So we had bearish market on the 50-minute, and usually I would like to trade with the 50-minute time frame. And this is when I started to recognize that the market just follows the current session momentum. Yes, we were bullish, right? I was bullish in the morning, but what is happening as the market opens? We're creating lower highs, lower lows, right? So there was a beautiful short to be taken from right there, which I thought to take it as a hedge, but I did not. So missed out on this beautiful move, right? I didn't trade much in New York. Pretty much I'm mostly focused in London. So this is my session. And yeah, this is how the trade looks like. We had a demand level on the left. We also manipulated with all the Asian range, and we had a little bit of a shift right there. So what I wanted to see is these supply areas right there fail. So we had a tap inside the market, then retested the zone, right? Then we broke structure and broke above these supply areas, but we pretty much tapped within the 50-minute supply, which should have broken first, right? So at first I had a line right there, and I said, well, this has to break before we actually really turn bullish. But I decided to go a little bit more aggressive, thinking that, yeah, this is the manipulation. We can potentially head higher, right? To come probably within the middle of the Asian range. So I took this trade right there. Stop loss below, tried to react, and then just boom, stop loss. Then I tried to adapt for shorts, but again, no provision. No. This week I was just kind of chasing the market and it just ran away, right? Then I wanted to take a short from there, run away, short from there, run away. And then it kind of gives a little bit of short during the 12 o'clock hour, which is when I don't trade. And then of course, during a US session, you can look for counter trend trades. I think some of my community took this long, right? Which is great. But yeah, this is pretty much my first trade of the week, which was not great. And again, I was kind of trading with, of course, showing up on Monday and Tuesday, but the market again just ran away. Then on this day, what I spotted is, again, as I told you, this break of structure on the 4-hourly, right here, right there, but it was just a liquidity grab. But then I said, well, I'm gonna be bearish because you can see we have a push, we have a pullback 50%. The market already started to go lower, so I thought, okay, maybe this is the weekly high. So right now we're gonna continue bearish with the overall trend. And the development was also pretty nice during Asia. So we had demand in control, tap inside, tried to push higher, fail, tried to push higher again, fail, and a massive reversal to the downside, which pretty much went into to retest this little zone right here, which is probably a 30-minute one or 45-minute demand zone, right? And then as it tapped, I decided to just follow with the session momentum. So I didn't wait for a bigger pullback. So I just started getting in, right? But I utilized lower risk on this one because I wasn't sure. And as you're gonna see, so first of all, I had an order. It's a little bit messy right there, but I had an order right here. So I had an order like this to potentially drive it towards this demand for 1 to 5, but it got me missed right there by 1 pip, right? Then it tapped within the demand, but I was like, well, I want to continue going short, but then the market started expanding very sharply into the highs. So I kind of didn't take it aggressively from this zone that I had, right? I removed my limit from here. I said, okay, let's see how the reaction will be. Then we had this indecision candle and then this bearish engulfing candle. So I entered after this bearish candle, stop loss above, tried to push, and then it hit stop loss. This was a half risk trade because I just didn't trust this bullish momentum, knowing that we also tapped very low, right? So then, yeah, then I said, well, there are the flat highs. So right now we actually pulled back above 50%. So let's try to look for longs, right? Sorry, shorts again. Then what I did is I waited for a break of this structure. But what I did is I also took a long right there on demo, just again to practice following with that momentum. And this one ended up playing out great, right? Again, just following with the momentum. So we reacted from supply, right? And then we flipped into the high. So the market just went in, created a new higher low and continued higher, right? But what I was doing is just following my initial bias, which was shorts, right? So this is when I kind of started seeing, oh man, this market just opens and it just goes with momentum. So what your task is to follow the session's momentum, right? And then what we did is we pulled back towards a 30-minute supply. We started shifting right there. Even on the 5-minute, I tried getting short, but I just couldn't get short into this kind of price action, right? And then there was a long provided right there. It kind of was choppy, but this was an opportunity to be taken. I didn't take any longs right there. Some of my community took, but some of them closed break even right there because it was way too much. So I'm not sure if any of us actually held this long trade, but yeah, that was a beautiful trade to be held right there. Again, following with this overall session momentum, right? See how the market impulses, just pulls back towards 50%. There it is, 50% tap. And then it continues towards like a measured move into the highs, right? Which is really great. So, and yeah, then of course I can go ahead and speak. We do those in the webinar, spotting every single opportunity that happens in the market. And then there is Friday, which is the day that I really decided to follow with the overall kind of momentum that the session starts with, right? So I don't have the Asian session drawn right there, but it was pretty strange, right? If you look at the Asian session, it was really momentous into the highs, right? And it really looked like taking lots of liquidity, like breaking highs and almost kind of tapping into the highs. So I thought, well, can this week really go even higher than that? So then what I started to do is going to the 5-minute and seeing that the market was actually bearish right now, right? So we started with this very nice drop to the downside, tapping into the mat. I was actually looking for longs on that day, but I had a range which I wanted for it to tap. So I'm not sure if it was this range, right? So I was looking for that 50%, right? So this is why I took shorts, riding the market towards 50%, and it actually turned out to be a very big short, but of course I did not hold as much. Of course I held this one, but I held it with a very low lot size, right? So I'm not gonna show it, but yeah, it was pretty much like a 0.02. So just to practice holding, right? But pretty much how I framed that trade is we had this very nice session open bearish move. So on the pullback, I just enter aggressively, because what I spotted is that this week the market does not provide even confirmation entry. So I was just quickly in, tap in, right, 3 pip stop loss, which was great. And then pretty much what I did. So this is where I held it, right? So this is my final TP around 15.5 R, but this was just 0.2, right? I just left it like this for fun. But of course, 80% of my trade goes 5 R, right? So this is where I took my 80% partial, 5 R banked. I don't care what happens. And then of course I leave that 20% runner, and it wasn't even 20%, because what I did next is I took another trade. So then after we tapped into this demand, then I wanted to see if the supply is gonna fail, which is this one, right? I was still in my original trade with a reduced stop loss, of course, above this high. So we had this kind of V shape right there, very nice buy sell, right? Up and down formation. We had a shift of structure, we had a pullback holding from this zone, and then we have a confirmed structure break, which made me think, okay, we are actually bearish. So I decided to take a scale in again. And on the pullback, I entered stop loss above 3.5 pips. And yeah, this one was also pretty nice. And again, I took 5R right there, 80%. And as I was taking 80% on this one also continued to close, right? So I took 80% of my 20% run, right? So I was left with like a very low lot size on this one, so I couldn't hold much, right? And then I think I actually just closed the majority of the trade somewhere right there. And I'm not sure if I left a rotor on this one, but pretty much I got a very little one just for fun to run, right? But I just closed it at the end. So that one was pretty good, kind of taking all of those little losses that I had this week, where pretty much I had a full risk loss on the Wednesday, and then a half risk loss on the Thursday, and then some losses from the previous week, which were pretty minor. So those two trades brought everything back and much more. So back at all-time highs, all right? So that is Friday. That is pretty much my trading week on EU. It was not the best, right? I was feeling a little bit uninspired, like starting from Monday, Tuesday, missing all of these amazing long moves, but it is what it is. As long as you tune in, as long as you follow your plan, right, and you don't kind of start changing your strategy and looking for new things, just tune in, and there is going to be a day like this when it's going to bring everything back, right? So that's EU, and right now it's time to head into the next pairs. Let's have a look at EUR yen. So not a very significant weekly move on this one, and we just pinked above the previous weekly high, and we're kind of still within this mother candle that we discussed from the previous week. So this is still about to make a move, right? And I told you the JPYs, they are not very nice. It's kind of tricky. We can see on the daily, we have a confirmed shift trend to the downside, right? And right now the market is kind of making this kind of complex correction right there. It's kind of in this range. So it is waiting for something. And if I just drop to the 4-hourly time frame and try to analyze this one, well, yeah, I just can't really do it. But if we take this supply right on the left, which is kind of the last buy candle before this big sell-off, right? So we had this lower high, the market tried to push, failed. Then what the market usually does when this happens, it comes to attack this high, right? So we took out this high, then the market tried to push again, failed, and currently, yes, we're just sticking within this range, right? So we have demand from the downside and we have supply from the upside. And if this high failed to break lower, then it actually can be taken out, right? So I would also expect that this one is going to take, and maybe we're going to have this 3-drive pattern. So 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive into the highs, and then to potentially reverse lower, right? So this is how I'm gonna frame EJ. Like, I don't want to go into more details because there is nothing more to be covered, right? Yes, on the daily, this market is bearish, and we can potentially head for this low, right? But it's not ready yet, right? So we can see the market pushes up, pulls back. You can even take longs right there, because if you really zoom in, you're gonna see that this one right there was a shift of the trend. So there is your pullback, right? So there is a long trade potential right there that you could be taking like on a 15-minute or on the hourly just aggressively, right? So I kind of feel on this one, yes, we're having right now a little bit of a sign of a reversal, right? We have this range, manipulation, initiation, lower. So if we stop right there and continue to make downward structure, then yes, follow it. But I would love another liquidity gap on the 4-hourly time frame, right? I would love this 3rd drive into the highs and then a reversal to break the structure and then a potential continuation lower. If not, then of course I will need to see those kind of demand level fail, right? Because yeah, we push up, kind of pull back, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? So we're currently technically bullish on the 4H. So we would like for the 4-hourly to align with the daily, right? And then to potentially start taking those shorts. So I'm not sure if we have any JPY news next week, maybe, right? I'm gonna also check out, oh man, I forgot to check out USD JPY first. But yes, we have to also look at that pair. So let's see. But this is pretty much my outlook for EJ. Give it some time. Currently, it's not the best pair to trade in terms of its structure. All right, let's have a look at the Aussies, starting from AU. Well, we're overall having a very nice bullish week, but the lower time frames on this pair were very tricky. All right, so I'm not sure if we would agree. But I was monitoring AU this week and it kind of looked really choppy, especially on the 4-hourly, on the hourly time frame, kind of trying to pick the trend. But yeah, overall, again, this pair is overall bearish, right? Coming in from this high to this low, right? Really nice bearish move to the downside. So again, we tapped into this kind of almost 68, 68.50, right? It is a nice range on the left. So again, is this a tap and are we going to reverse right now? Well, I don't know, right? Again, I've been thinking about if it's really important to be kind of forecasting these big macro moves. Of course, it's always great to be trading with those moves, but if you can just catch the session momentum, right, as a scalper intraday trader, then this is what matters to me personally the most. So right now, again, we can take different ranges, which is, again, the confusion begins, right? Because you can take a range from this high to this low, which is your weekly range. Then if you drop to the daily, you can see the last daily pullback is this one. So then you take this range, right? So technically right now, the market is ready to be shorted right there in terms of the daily, but not in terms of the weekly, right? And if I just drop to the 4-hourly time frame, well, the 4-hourly is just bullish, right? So why look for shorts, right? So if I delete everything, we can see that since right here, it wasn't entirely clear where the lower high is. It could be that weak. We can take it like this, but there was a shift of structure right here. So we pretty much had a little supply right there. The market reacted, failed to break, massive pump, pullback, push, pullback, push, pullback, push, right? So we are bullish, right? It is a little bit tough to enter in, but we are technically bullish. So this was the last higher low before this push, right? So this is the last break of structure. So what we did right there is we pushed, we pulled back, we tried to put up a new high, we failed. So what I tell you is that usually these lows are gonna fail. So it failed, right? But then it looked like that supply was kind of starting to hold. So we had this guy, then we had that guy, right? And you can see the market tapped, respected, chop, chop, chop. And then pretty much the big move occurred on the Friday. I'm not sure if there was any news, but like in Asian session, we just had this expansion into the highs, all right? But overall, as you can see, we started right here, 23rd. We started again with a massive pump. And then overall, you were trading within this price, right? All week you trade within this one, which again, if I drop to the hourly time frame, it's a little bit tricky, right? If we just take this kind of price, a little bit tricky to trade, right? So hopefully you guys took some nice trades on AU, especially for those trading AU, but it was rather tricky, right? Of course, some longs right there to be taken, some longs right there to be taken, and then we expanded into the highs, but I do think it was a tricky pair to approach this week. So yes, right now the question is, are we gonna stop somewhere right there? It's like this big sell and then a buy. So are we gonna stop like here, right? Or are we gonna take out this one and hit higher? I don't know, right? What I would love for us to focus, of course, if you wish to follow this kind of style, is what is gonna happen right now, right? So right now we are moving higher. Let's try to find our higher low. If you have difficulties, go to the line chart, look for a clear pullback. The last kind of pullback is here. We have also one right there, right? So this is the clean one. But also these kind of zones right there. So then if we drop to the, yeah, we can take a range like this. Let's say you can take it also like that, but let's be conservative. Let's take it like that. And yeah, pretty much we have this overall range right there because we had not a clear higher low, but we had an overall range and then expansion. Okay. So what I'm going to be looking for on AU is either for creation of new structure, right? Or for a pullback towards this one. What do I mean is that we can, for example, have something like this right now, expansion higher. Then I'm going to be looking to trade from this newly created one like this. Of course, if we maybe looking at this bullish candle, we might take out the high and then reverse lower. So then from there, I'm going to be looking for a shift, right? And of course, if we continue higher, then just follow the momentum. If we start bearish, then that's even better, right? Because then we're going to be looking for that pullback and a continuation higher. And this is pretty much it. It's a little bit tough to forecast right now because we can see right now we are just following 1 hourly structure. And again, utilizing Friday's price action for determining a bias on Monday, it's a little bit tricky, right? It's much better to wait for Monday to play out and then start deciding what the week is going to look like. Okay, but I'm overall right now bullish on the Aussie, so I'm going to be looking for potentially for a pullback. And of course, if something new happens, we adapt on Tuesday. Okay, so that's my analysis. Let's just wait and see what happens. Again, the JPYs, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these ones. Overall bullish candle, but it's an inside bar, right, of the previous one. So we have a big mother candle, we have an inside bar right there, and we have right now another one. So it's really starting to compress and it's waiting for something. So what for? I don't know. Maybe we have to check the news if there is something to shake out the JPY. But again, guys, in all honesty, so yeah, there is the price, right? So this is a range. I am not going to go into details on this one because there is nothing to go, right? So I'm just skipping this pair because even if I try to force it, try to read it between the lines, it's hard, right? It's hard. So just looking at AU being bullish, I would say that this one has a higher chance of actually pulling back a little bit higher, but possibly right now USD JPY is giving a lot of pressure on the JPY pairs, right? Because right now we have kind of a bullish euro, right? The bullish Aussie, maybe even the bullish NZD we're gonna see. And if USD yen is kind of bearish, then yeah, or bullish, these kind of pairs start to range a little bit. So give it some time, okay? Giving this one some time, some kind of shakeout. If we break out very nicely, then of course we can look for a pullback continuation. If we sharply spike into the highs, then of course we can look for a reversal. But I'm just gonna give it some time, some new price to develop, and then we're gonna approach it again. What we can see is that the NZD is actually pretty strong. We are having this previous weekly candle, that was an inside bar, and again we just opened and we're right now smashing into the highs. So again, we can start with the weekly ranges that the market is potentially traveling towards 50% of that weekly range. And of course, we know that we have one on the daily, but pretty much I think that this one is gonna break. Right now, we're responding from this guy right there, but I do think we're breaking and potentially heading towards a higher one. Okay, so that's pretty much the daily, and the daily has also shifted right here. So that is another potential demand zone to tap into, but I think we're running too far away from actually this being valid. And yeah, just building up this overall bullish bias on this pair. So again, we opened 23rd, yeah, 22nd. This one even started opening before the market opened, right? You see 22nd, 11 o'clock, massive pump, continuing higher, pulling back, longs. Then we had a little bit of, I think we had some NZD news. So this is a shakeout candle right there, took out the low, took out the high. But then again, we just maintained this bullish bias. And yes, right now we are pretty much tapping within this very extreme zone. We're reacting already from it. And then the question is, are we going to reverse from right there? Or are we just going to respond, pull back, and continue higher? We're currently, again, if we ask the important question, what is the market doing right now? It's bullish. Where is the higher low? Well, yeah, this is the lowest low, I think. Yeah, this is the pullback. There is the push. And yes, potential zones, well, I'm gonna take this whole range, right? So again, similarly to the Aussie, a pullback would be nice for continuation higher, right? If we break above, then of course keep following the trends. And what the other outcome could be is of course a range, right? But those are the two things that I'm gonna be looking for. Overall long bias, just following that momentum, and I keep longing until I'm wrong. Of course, guys, I always give myself permission to take short trades as well in a long market, right? Because I know how to do it, right? So for example, right now, if you think that this level is going to hold, if you have the confidence that, for example, we have in my community, then you can start taking shorts right there and capitalizing on the move lower like I did on that Friday EU trade, right? Taking it towards the 50% and then just going for the longs, right? And this is why I think trading one pair is key, because of course you can just wait for a new higher high, then you can take a short, trade it towards the higher low, then you can take a long, trade it towards the higher high, and then just do this, right? Of course, sometimes it's tricky, sometimes it's not, but pretty much that is NZUSD. I am bullish. If you see any shorts from this zone, then definitely, right? Maybe NJ is gonna be a bit more bullish than what AJ and EJ were, right? Yeah, we're having a nice weekly bullish candle. Daily, only the last daily candle was kind of bullish, right? Let's be honest. And we have this daily zone that we're potentially reaching for, and just dropping onto the 4H. Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can see that this one, again, we can try to force it up a little bit, right? We can pretty much see that this one is creating bullish structure, right? So we have this high break structure right there. Then we break structure right here, right? And we're just forming these kind of high lows. High low right there, high low right there. And yeah, we're just moving higher, okay? So pretty much right now we are moving towards this supply zone right now. We're creating a new higher high. If you again ask the question, where is our higher low? Well, yeah, I'm kind of, they're not very clean. So what I prefer to do is just take the overall range, right? Before the momentum kicked in, okay? You can, of course, backtest this. You can take this candle, you can take the whole range, you can take the last bearish candle, you can take like the order blocks as you call them. It doesn't matter. What matters for me is where is the higher low, where did the move initiate from, and what is the zone that we can potentially trade off from, right? So for me, this kind of zone is good. And of course, if you pair it with a potential higher high, which hasn't formed yet, then we get a very high probability zone. Tap below right there, and as soon as we tap right there, I'm going to be looking for longs, okay? If we continue higher, tapping inside this zone, then that could change. Then we can start looking for shorts. Then the range is going to look like this, right? But of course, as I said on the JPYs, I'm giving them some time, to form some new price action. And of course, then we're going to strike when it makes more sense. But honestly, NZD-JPY makes a lot of sense to go for you to go long. So hopefully some of you NJ traders are actually going long and capitalizing on this overall little, yeah, kind of a sloppy move to the upside. So this is why I think we're just in a pullback right now before a drop, right? And the drop is going to be caused by some sort of news, which I haven't seen yet. So we'll see next week. All right, well, USD yen, we are having an overall bearish week, but have a look at the momentum of those candles, right? Look at the bullishness right there, and the bearish candles are kind of always rejecting from the downside, right? So we have a lot of buyers coming in right there, and I get a feeling we might get another run into the highs pretty soon, right? But it's probably waiting for something, so which we might see in the economic calendar maybe next week or the week after, right? So yes, we're having a bearish week, but again, as I say, they're kind of very low momentum. And then if you drop to the daily time frame, you can actually see this low momentum. But yes, overall right now we have shifted right there. This is a push. Yes, we broke out with a wick, but we can maybe classify this as a higher high. We broke lower and then we broken again, right? So technically right now this pair is bearish. We had this lower high that hasn't been retested. Well, we threw a little wick right there, but yeah, it doesn't matter as much. And it's a little bit hard to find an area on the left where the market could potentially stop, right? So UJ right now is a tricky pair. It's a tricky pair. And again, I was actually short biased on this one. I'm not sure if I had this zone right there. I think I did. And I was looking for this high to get taken out, but no, the market actually threw a little bit wick right there and then continued to go lower, which created a new break of structure, right? So right now, where is the major lower high? Well, it's pretty much that wick right there, or you can say this high. Again, it depends. If you want to take, again, guys, this is according to your rules, right? And according to how you study, right? You can always take the highest point of the pullback like this, or you can take the point before the break, right? So of course, this is up to you. Both are valid, right? Both are valid. So I pretty much, I'm taking this one because this kind of wick took a lot of liquidity, then broke sharper to the downside. We pulled back, we tried to tap, we tried to push lower, failed. Pull back again, tried to push lower, failed, which makes me think again we have a similar setup on some of the other pairs that we might push up a little bit higher. Take out this is liquidity and then make a new leg lower, right? So this is how I currently look at UJ. Well, it's still bearish, so I don't want to start calling any longs because pretty much there are no longs, right? There we have this kind of little range that we're reacting from right now. The next one is this kind of sell-off before the big buy, right? So that one right there, which is 125.50. So can we pull back? Yeah, this is a lot of pips if it's really gonna come in down there. But yeah, so far I'm gonna call a bearish USD yen, and it kind of resembles the setup on the DXY, right? We have precisely the same setup. Try to push lower, fail. Push higher, tries to push lower, fail. So if you have a sharp move into the highs, then a short will be good, and pretty much UJ looks exactly the same, right? So let's see how this works out. Of course, we can start with a run into the lows. If this happens, then try to follow the trend until you're wrong, right? This is why, again, according to me, market structure is the biggest key, right? So if you don't know how to read market structure, then take out my free course, right? If you haven't yet, you're gonna learn there. But of course, there is a lot more that goes into it if you combine it, of course, with supply and demand levels and all of that great stuff, okay? So that's UJ, looking for shorts. This is one of the developments. Of course, if you again initiate lower, we adapt. So let's see, wait for Monday and check out your economic calendars. I think we might have something next week that is going to shake it out nicely, and we can see actually a nice expansive movement. Let's have a look at the GBPs, starting from GBP USD. So we're having an overall bullish week right there. It's not very big, but it's also not bad. There were nice trades to be taken on GU. Community took a lot of nice trades on GU. But overall, it's kind of a little bit of a range bound, right? Because if I drop on a daily, you can see there is the first Monday open, massive bullishness. And then what we have, kind of a rejection. It's not an inside bar. It took out the previous daily low, then it responded, right? The next candle we have an inside bar. Thursday, it's not a great move as well, and Friday not so great as well, right? So not a lot of great movements, not a lot of great trending markets. We just took out this high right on Friday. So again, the question is this a break? Is this a liquidity grab in order for us to go lower? I don't know. Right? I don't know. Of course, if we go back to the weekly chart, where is kind of the last pullback? Well, we can take it from here. You can take it from there, right? And both of those zones haven't tapped 50% yet. So I am looking for a slightly bigger pullback on USD, on GBP USD. I'm thinking also of the dollar because it has also some downside potential. And just pairing with the fundamentals and the risk on perspective, I do think we can get a continuation up on GBP USD. And yeah, pretty much you can see we opened right here on the 23rd of May. It opened right there even before the market opened. We started pushing higher. We pull back higher low. So you should be taking longs right there. Came in again, longs right there again. Push, pull back, potential longs, pushing again, right? But a lot of kind of intraday trades that you could be taking. But again, if we just follow the flow, well, there is higher low right there. There is one right there, which is beautiful, which hasn't been tapped. So this one is a pretty good area right there that hasn't been retested. And what we did is we already went ahead and put up a new high, right? Which makes, it's a bit tricky, but which makes this the higher low. Okay. And right now the market pulled back, tapped inside, tried to push higher, failed. And right now we're attempting to push higher, but we can have a similar occasion. Like all the pairs are looking similar right now. Is that we can have that sharp spike into the lows, tap deeper into this demand zone. And then if we start shifting, then of course we can start looking for that long, okay? If this one fails, of course, we can look for a deeper tap right there and then look for the same, right? And of course, if the market initiates higher, then of course I would say follow the trend until you're wrong, right? So that is pound USD. I am looking for longs following this overall bullish momentum. Keep in mind, we just took out this high. That can cause a slightly bigger pullback. But I'm just looking at like the last higher lows, and this one is looking pretty good. And even if this one fails, then this one is the next one, right? Then of course, what you can say is that you're going to have a reversal formation right there, and you can start looking for shorts as well. But this is, of course, we're going to see this one potentially on Wednesday and Thursday, right? So a lot of time until then. So this is how I'm wrapping it up for now. I'm going to be looking for longs on Monday open, potentially a nice liquidation below the lows right there, shift, and then potential longs. If we continue higher, then we attempt to follow the overall momentum. So let's see. GJ, it's probably behaving like the other JPYs. We're having a couple of inside bars right now. So there is the major one right there. We're having a brand new one. We can, yeah, take out the low and the high. Maybe let's do this, see how it's gonna look like. And then we have an inside bar right now. So pretty much what are we doing? Oh, well, we're ranging. All right, so again, I'm not gonna spend much time on this one. We can, of course, try to read between the lines, but there is our range. Okay, so we pushed into the lows, we massively pushed into the highs, massively into the lows, highs, lows, highs. So again, what is the trend? Well, I don't know. Again, if we just refer back to the weekly, the trend is bullish. We have this push and a pullback, so the market can be attempting to go higher. So of course, you can frame your trade on a weekly bias, right? But then you go on the daily. What is the daily doing? Well, daily is bearish, right? We have this push, pullback, lower high, lower low, lower high. So the market should be breaking lower right now, but it's not, right? So my biggest tip is, well, screw this pair for a while and go maybe trade something else, or just wait for it. If you're trading GJ solely, give yourself a break, right? Give yourself a break, wait for the ranges to break out, and then come back when it's clear. Okay, so right now I am just not gonna do anything, right? Of course, I can drop this kind of higher low demand right there, and we tapped. You can take this, which is not a valid supply, right? Because it did not break structure, but there is pretty much right now your support and resistance level, and the market is just bouncing between them both, right? So nothing too much to say on this one. I'm waiting for breakouts. I'm looking for some shakeout. This again is a JPY pair, and as I have been telling you in all those pairs, something is coming. All of them are kind of ranging, USD JPY included, right? Although it looks a little bit more bearish. So it's waiting for something. So again, check your economic calendars, okay? And I'm not gonna speak about EUR GBP because I just don't know what this pair is doing. Right, well, it's overall bullish, let's say the least. On the daily, weekly time frame, it's kind of a rejection into the highs. Man, this pair is just awful, and I keep covering it every week. I don't know why, guys. I'm maybe too stubborn to remove it, but I had this analysis on Tuesday for you. So we had these flat highs. I said, oh, I would love for those to get taken into reverse. Well, they got taken, but the market reversing the other way. I don't know, right? I don't know. We pull back right now, so I can say, well, we can be bullish, but I just have no idea how this pair is moving, and I'm probably going to be removing it completely. I utilize this one in order to judge like which pair is stronger, like Euro USD or GBP USD, right? So which one is stronger right now according to you guys, right? I don't know, right? Dropping onto the daily, well, it looks like we're trending higher, so it looks like the euro is stronger than the pound. But does this give me any edge when I trade EU or GU? Not really. Right now we have this massive expansion, which looks like news. Right now we're pulling back, so what is stronger, what is weaker, I don't know. So if you're trading Euro GBP, I wish you good luck, right? And I'm just leaving this one be, right? But pretty much GJ consolidation, GU looks a little bit like long, so I would mostly focus on GU right now because it's a risk on pair, so it has a high probability of success, while GJ needs a little bit of a shakeout. Let's have a look at gold, which did not move as much, right? So again, a lot of uncertainties going on. I can see it right there in the weekly candle, right? So we tried to push up and we failed, right? And we have this overall bullish move. We have this overall bearish move right now. Again, the market held above 1780, which seems like to be the major high low according to me. We can take one lower as well, but this is where, again, as I spoke in the previous pair, you decide how to draw your high lows, right? Is it the last point of break, right? Is it the lowest point before the break, right? So this is up to you to backtest and decide. According to me, this is the one that is currently holding price, and I can see the bearishness, right? Of course, what we have right now is a daily shift, right? We have a daily shift, so we pushed. This kind of bullish candle was broken, and if when we even have a 4-hourly nice shift, right? So it shifted right there. It provided a couple of longs. But then as you can see, after Monday, right, and on Tuesday, we kind of didn't move as much, right? We just moved that much. And usually gold is going to do moves, right? So I do think NFP, guys, wow, I think the solution could be NFP because I've been thinking what the market is waiting for. Well, I do think next week we're going to have NFP because we have 2 days of the new month. And then we're going to be pretty much the first Friday of the month is going to be next week. Okay, so I do think NFP. So wait for that, okay? I don't have much to say on gold, but right now the short term, which is the 4-hourly, looks bullish to me. I don't see the bullish setup. Again, I don't understand gold, so don't listen to me. But yeah, pretty much, I even don't know what to mention on this one, right? It's kind of pushed up, broke structure on the daily. On the 4-hourly time frame, we're currently bullish. But even if I am extremely honest with you right now, what I will be doing is just removing all of this analysis, and I'm gonna ask the question, what is the market doing right now? Well, it pulled back, all right? So where is my higher low? It's this one. What happened? It broke, right? So what is happening right now is the market was retesting this high, right? So if we have a failure right there, if we have a break of this structure, then I'm gonna be turning bearish, right? And then I'm gonna be looking for this. So this is how I'm gonna approach a Forex pair, right? But I know just gold doesn't work like this as much, right? So this is how I'm going to approach it for right now. Of course, we can draw this big daily zone, which the market can pull back towards to grab a little bit more liquidity, right? And then to potentially initiate a move higher. But I think right now gold as a kind of an instrument that people put money in order to protect them, right? Of course, we have a lot of speculation. It really depends on what is going to happen with the rates, with the Fed, with the ECB, where is the money going to flow, right? And we can see that this week it didn't flow much in gold, but what we're going to see in a bit is that it flew actually to stocks, right? So that is gold. Give it some time, and I would say just again follow the most recent momentum, right? Ask always, what is the market doing right now? Well, this market has been overall bearish recently, and this one could have been a nice pullback, right? Yes, it broke structure, but sometimes the market breaks structure in order to reverse and create, like, let's say a daily pullback. Okay, so we might have had the pullback, and right now if we start nicely shifting to the downside, well, it could turn also bearish, right? So again, let me know, you guys, in the comments, what do you think about gold? I always listen to you, so looking forward to your feedback. I am gonna give it a little bit more bearishness on gold. But of course, if also the DXY goes short, then gold makes sense to go long. But I have been seeing that correlation does not make too much sense nowadays. So again, just focus on the pair. Let's have a look at the indices, and we are having this very massive bullish, like look at that, very massive bullish engulfing candle, huge risk on all of a sudden. I think this is, again, with the backing up of the Fed, saying that the rates are not going to be hiked as much, right? The question is right now, is this short term? Is this just a liquidity grab? Is just seeking liquidity after this big bearish move, right? I'm looking at the candles, right? The candles to the downside look like wicky a little bit, and just looking at this bullish candle, it's kind of scary, right? Because look at that, it is a Marubozu candle, as it's called. No wick to the downside, no wick to the upside, complete bullishness. Right, we open down there, no wick, we close right there, no wick. Okay, very tricky times. I'm kind of a little bit sad that I did not buy a lot, right? I was looking to buy, I was waiting, you know, my projection on the S&P was 3,700, so this one didn't tap yet. We just entered bearish market on S&P, and right now we're retracing back, right? But again, if you're in a bearish market, then this could be a pullback. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is this daily shift, right? It's really bullish, but is it really turning bullish, or is it just a short-term pullback, maybe to, yeah, some profit taking maybe, or something like this? But man, it is bullish, right? And I spoke about this level, right? Or this big buy off before this big sell off, right? So we're coming in within this area. So for me, it's really important to see what happens right here. And if we start breaking above that level, then I'm gonna think about again, right? Is the crash over, right? It was not even a crash, right? This could just be a pullback, right? Because we did not crash as much, right? A crash, if you just study the previous crashes, they are much longer and much bigger in percentage, right? This one just dropped 17%. It's not even a bearish market, right? So I'm kind of thinking, are we really in crashes? Is it really that bad? Well, a lot of people say it's very bad, but just looking at the price right now, I do think it's short term. So let's see what happens. Of course, hopefully some of you followed that most recent bullish momentum, because we shifted the structure right there. Longs right there, potentially just trading those higher lows. Okay, but currently, again, as I'm a long-term trader in this one, I'm mostly investing, not really speculating on it much. I am looking to see what is happening within this zone, right? And if this one breaks, then I'm gonna ask the question again, are we just retracing higher, or are we reversing? Okay, pretty much the weekly leg is this, right? So as long as we are within this weekly leg, right now we're just pulling back towards the 50%. So there is also a high chance we're gonna seek it higher, okay? As long as we're within this bearish weekly leg, then I'm gonna be short biased, right? But I'm starting to question whether the buyers are coming back in the game. I don't think so. I would love to see, well, it's not about what I love, but what actually is happening on the charts. So Nasdaq is really bearish right now. Of course, we're tapping into some sort of demand levels on the left that I have been showing you right there. But again, the weekly range is this, right? So we're pulling back right now, potentially to seek a little bit of liquidity, because we have been dropping a little bit heavier to the downside. So right now the market is looking for something in order to recover, and maybe this is why the Fed stepped up a little bit. to cause the market to recover a little bit, maybe to push in a few more buyers, because everyone is selling right now, so we're having a little bit of risk on people to buy a little bit more, then to have another crash. I don't know, right? I don't know. It's pretty much my first. I have experienced crashes, right? But this is my first kind of a bear market, right? Since I am investing, because I started investing in 2020, I believe, somewhere right there, and pretty much the market was in an uptrend, right? The market was in an uptrend. I think I was, no, I'm not sure if I was within this crash. I think I was starting to slowly kind of get into it, but I was starting to really buy like from 2019, right there. I was doing this one, right? I was quite scared, which I learned my lesson. Then I was pretty much really investing right here, right? So right now we're having this very nice bearish market, so I'm not really sure what actually happens. So I'm very excited and studying hard right now. How does it behave? So again, as I said, well, we're technically bearish right now on the weekly. So looking to see how it's going to respond from this big buy to sell right there, right? It's grabbing a lot of liquidity right now. So hopefully some of you are capitalizing on this short-term bullishness, right? But let's see how it's going to tap when it taps 13,000 right there. Then I'm going to watch and see the flow to shift lower, daily to shift lower maybe, and then to see some lower price as well. Some of your stock portfolios might be looking amazing. And again, I'm a little bit sad that I did not buy S&P down there. I was looking at it, I was watching it. It was kind of a late hour during the day. Yeah, around 7 o'clock, I was looking like the index right there, around 7 to somewhere right there. And I was like, man, should I just put in a little bit? Look at how nicely it's taking out these lows. I was like, well, let's wait for the projection, because I bought somewhere right there already. And yes, right now we're very nicely recovering higher. So again, is it just a pullback to grab a little bit more liquidity, right, in order to make a new leg lower? Because we saw it right there, right? So we had this drop of 15% and we saw this very nice recovery, right? So right now we're having a drop of 20%, which is technically we ticked the bearish market, right? We just ticked the bearish market, and right now we're having this recovery, right? We can see this recovery took around 3 weeks before the big leg lower. So let's see if we're gonna have 3 weeks of a pullback before another drop. I'm really curious to know. I'm still looking a little bit for shorts. Pretty much I'm looking for the market that gets towards its mean value, right? So I'm looking for more bears in order for the whole stock market to get back to its mean value, because we're currently a little bit extended. We're a little bit overvalued across the whole market. So yes, but let's see how it's going to respond from the first zone that is within the 50%. And of course, we're going to have another one. So let's see, guys, give it some time. And of course, if you're intraday trading this one, capitalize on this shorter term bullish momentum, but always be open that we might continue going lower. Okay. And the cryptos, so pretty much Bitcoin, I'm not going to say anything about Bitcoin because it doesn't do as much, right? We're kind of reacting a little bit, creating lower highs, right? But I'm not commenting on this one until it makes a move, right? This one actually grabbed a lot of liquidity, kind of went towards the 25K region. But right now what we have is Ethereum about to grab some as well, right? We have this 1700 level that hasn't been broken yet, right? So we can see the low right there was 17.1. So watch right there. This low was 17.1 and this low was 17.2, right? So I do think we spike below all of these zones and potentially tap into something like this, right? And then we can see maybe a short-term rebound, but I just don't know about crypto right now. I'm also having big losses, as a lot of you guys are having. So potentially looking to start dollar cost averaging into it with smaller amounts, right? But I would just prefer to see a bullish trend and then just start riding the bullish trend. I think it's much better than just buying this low without having any confirmation. Okay, so Ethereum is going low. It's seeking the liquidity below 17, right? So wait for this one to tap and then let's see what happens. We can have a rebound, right? With the current risk on perspective. And again, as I showed you in my other screen right there, the fear and greed index is starting to rise up a little bit. So we might get a little bit into the neutral zone, right? So we might start seeing like cryptos and stocks starting to pump up a little bit. But then of course, as I said, it just could be a pullback before another drop. Okay, and of course this depends on inflation, CPI, and how the Fed is gonna do, and all of that stuff that we have going on right now. So this is where I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. Hopefully you found it insightful. I think we have some nice setups, especially across the major pairs. So again, follow your plans, have your strategy in place, and if you don't get any entries, don't give a damn, right? Just take a break, wait for those setups to occur. And it's NFP week next month, so stay focused, right? Wait for the news, don't overtrade, and let's hope we're gonna have an amazing month ahead of us. And the next one is actually gonna be the big monthly analysis. I'm not sure if I will be able to publish this on Saturday because I'm gonna be traveling, so we'll see. But make sure to stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for my Tuesday flow with the markets analysis.